podcast community. PeteKane here, Podcast Pete and lifestyle coach. And we have a special guest on the show. I've been trying to get her on the show ever since I heard her talk at our Rotary and got a chance to meet her and talk to her. We finally got her on. So you're going to see what is happening in the community, and you get to hear what's behind the community involvement that Brandy's doing. So Brandy, for the people that don't know you, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into our podcast.
My goodness. Well, first of all, peace and blessings to everybody. I am just so grateful to be here with Podcast Pete. My name is Brandy Wilson. I am the owner of Glaze Car Wash in Kennesaw. I'm so excited to be a part of this new community in Kennesaw. We've been there a year so far. I will say we are arguably the best car wash in Kennesaw and on our way to being the best car wash in Georgia and maybe even in the world. Who I serve is God's people. That's my mission. That includes you, the listeners, Pete. I am a servant person and foremost. And so what I try to do is turn that into a business and use my mission to serve to help cultivate a culture around me and around the world where we all get what we need, but in a special, authentic.
Oops, I lost you. If you can hear me, Brandy, when we were talking before we went live, it was a conversation, but you froze when you said, let me do something. Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah, because you're frozen right now.
Let me log back. Let me try.
Okay, I'll just hold a few seconds while you log back in, and because we want them to hear from Brandy and just your journey. I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But now let's
Oh, yes. Now that's good. Oh, yes. Oops.
see. I messed this up. I need to close one of.
Close that other one because you have two open, if you can hear me. Thank you, audience, for giving us some grace and patience here. Technology is always different and innovative, and sometimes it doesn't work. All righty, let me see if I can put you on. Okay, I can see your picture. Now put your video on. I'm going to remove this one, kick out of
Okay.
studio. I'm going to kick your first one out. And
There we go.
now put your video on because I can hear your voice, but your video is not on.
So I'm
Okay.
here.
It's totally, oops. Let's see if we can. All right. It's still, let me cut this off. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Yay! Woo! Okay.
It's
Okay.
just
Thank
like
you
this.
so much.
There's never just a day where the unexpected doesn't come up. So, hey,
That's right.
thank you for working through the technical issues. So
Yes.
I heard everything you said. So
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you this as we start off. I remember before Glaze, and I know I saw the transformation, and my mind was like, what is going on here? This is like
Mm-hmm.
something I've never seen. And then when I was engaging with your team, it was like I felt like I was at Chick-fil-A and I felt special. So tell me, when you first started with Glaze, what was those first 6 months like, or first 5 months or 2 months? You're taking over a new business, you're transforming it. What was the biggest challenge that you had in getting to this point right now?
I liken it to, Well, to answer your question, the first 6 months was about getting open, right? The first 3 months we operated as the existing car wash that we originally purchased.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were operating under another brand. It wasn't even Glaze yet. Behind the scenes, it was Glaze, but we were still kind of known as Captain Clean, right? So what we had to do the first few months was humbling because we had to essentially win back the hearts of those that might have left for different reasons, and
Mm-hmm.
they were kind of like looking at us, like suspiciously, like, I don't know, this is not, this hasn't been my best experience, or whatever their issues were. We had to kind of make that right, and we had existing equipment that was 15 years old. So I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of humbled at first. We couldn't razzle and dazzle them like I wanted to. So I had to go into my creative bag and think, if we have to take something that's old and a little beat up, but in fair condition, and make it make sense, let's dig in this bag and do it. So that was just old fashioned soap and water, brushes, just making sure that we were providing great service. I even changed our uniforms to a very bright yellow so that people could see us moving around the lot.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that I could do to spark the idea for our customers that there was a change coming. Our
Mm-hmm.
t-shirts actually said new car wash coming, to help prepare our guests for what was new. And then we spent the first 3 months talking about all the things we were planning to do into getting to know the community. So the first 3 months were a little, it was humbling. It was, you know what? I know we're getting new equipment, but for now, let's make the best of what we have. And then
Mm-hmm.
the next 3 months was very challenging because we had to fight to get open. There was a lot of obligations we had to the county to make sure that we were within code, and those codes change on a dime. So, we had to rush against the clock because we had a very small window to not only keep the customers engaged and keep the community guessing, but also to get the equipment in, on time, get the contractors to do what they do, and us to get back open as soon as possible in a very competitive market. So those 6 months were very important.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, it taught me a lot about humility. It taught me a lot about, making the best of what you have. And it taught me a lot about resilience. Another thing, Pete, we couldn't, for a short period of time, we couldn't train our new staff inside the building because the code didn't the code was still under inspection, and they didn't want us in the building for a time. So in a way, I was like, oh my God, are we going to be able to train the staff and have them ready, but we can't be inside the building? And so I thought, you know what, let's keep them employed anyway, and let's go up here to Starbucks, and we're going to get these troops ready for battle when we do open. So we never stopped training, no matter what adversity came up during that period. We were like, we're going to train at Starbucks, at McDonald's, wherever we can. And the irony of that, Pete, was some of our customers, our now existing customers, remember when we trained at Starbucks, and they remember hearing our training style, and they remember hearing, how committed we were to practicing our pitches and sales
Mm-hmm.
techniques. And now they're our members. And so it's been a journey, but a worthwhile one so far.
My brother, for many years, was an executive recruiter in pharmaceutical, and I'd always ask him, like, what's the one thing you look for when you're like interviewing somebody, and how does that translate into success with that
Mm-hmm.
client? And he said, sometimes I have the best interviews and they bomb. Sometimes I have
Mm-hmm.
interviews that I'd go, nah, I don't think so. And I would take a chance and they'd absolutely blossom. How did you find, when you're talking to team members, what did you
Mm-hmm.
find out about, like, what your instincts told you versus what really transpired into successful, happy, employees, team members? What were you doing to really build that team?
Well, one thing I always try to do with young people is let them know I'm one of you, right? I have a lot of empathy for people, so I try to meet you where you're at, and I tell them, I won't ask you to do anything that you don't see me doing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a fair start, right? So as a leader, that's the kind of leadership style I have. If I need you to scrub a floor, you'll see me scrub a floor to demonstrate how it's done. And so I try to start with meeting them where they're at, letting them know where I'm at. Here's my husband and I, we mince no words about what our mission is,
Mm-hmm.
what our goals are, what our ambitions are. And we talk about greatness a lot. We talk about not only the greatness inside of us and inside of our business plan, but having them there. They're there for the reason too, to be great, because they are great. And so I go in and I try to pull that greatness out of each of them in individual, unique ways. I sit with them, all of my staff individually every month. And the evals that we do are on an individual basis. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of them trying to beat, team members, they're trying to beat their personal best every day. My goal is to try to encourage them, reach down and figure out what their interests are, what their talents are, what their gifts are, and pull it
Mm-hmm.
out. And any deficiencies they have as individuals, I challenge that. We speak about worldly things, we speak about spiritual things, we speak about their goals, and I invest my time, my energy, and resources into what they're interested in, because I feel, and Joe, my husband Joe, and I feel that if we can tap into what moves them, what they're passionate about, we're going to get that to translate into our business. And as soon as you build that loyalty with your staff, people they'll run a marathon for you, because they start to believe in the mission too. They start to believe that, man, these people really have credibility with us. We've seen Joe and Brandy scrub a floor. We've seen them run around a lot. We've seen them kiss babies and shake hands. We've seen them get under the trench and with oil all over their face and make it work. So it builds respect. And we're I think that method has worked for me, and I've been an owner operator of businesses for 12 years, and everything I've learned over those 12 years about how to connect with your staff and keep the retention there is what has gotten me to this point, which is my investment in people might be slow. It may even be expensive at times where you're trying to keep them motivated, but it's been tried and true. I have had low turnover over my tenure as a restaurant operator, and as most of our staff at Glaze has been with us now a year, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited about
I was in the restaurant business for 12, 13 years on the distributor side. And I'd
it.
always, when talking to the restaurants, I think service is the best trainer, whether you're a greeter, whether you're a server, whether you're doing anything, you're serving people. And when
Yes.
you take that mindset, it's not just what you bring home, it's what you're learning. When in your 12-year journey, when did you see kind of the light bulb go off where you kind of saw what you were doing and you saw the
Mhm.
results happening? How long did it take for that to really happen?
Well, first of all, I'm a consumer. I buy products, and I, buy services, right? So I want to be treated. I want people to be treated the way I want to be treated. That's first and
Mhm.
foremost. That's just in general. If I walk into to a restaurant, I want to be greeted, and I want to be cared for, and I want my food to be cared for. And so I operate as a consumer. And then I think about how important money is to people. If they have a little extra income to do luxury activities like a car wash or buy
Mhm.
or eat out, I know how special that dollar is. So I try my best to make sure the value is there. That's important to me as a consumer. So I don't really operate as just the business mind. what is my return on investment, all of those things. Those things are important. But quality control is very important because I don't want anyone to come into any of my businesses feeling like their money doesn't matter, their time doesn't matter. The fact that there's so many items, so many competitors to choose from, and they chose us. I think service is absolute. It is an obligation to give good service because
Mm,
I know how valuable people's time is and their money, and because mine is valuable,
mm,
or my children or my husband, if or my family, if my mother came into your business, I want her to be treated well. So I try to put that good energy out there. And I teach my kids at the wash and at my restaurants that, hey, you never know, how this is going to show up again in your life.
mm,
It's going to help you build character. It's important for you to have standards and boundaries and ways to conduct yourself in a crisis situation, and how to think and use your mind and your creativity and the gifts that God has given you to overcome adversity in ways that doesn't demean who you are or diminish your, all the good things that you've done. Those kind of teachings for me are absolutely necessary because although I'm trying to run a business, Pete, I'm also trying to change the world too at the same time. I'm trying
mm,
to figure out how to blend the two. And if I have people less likely to steal from me because we worked on their integrity, or if I have people that will fight hard, even in my absence, to be a great leader and be a manager on duty, the investment's for. So all that extra time and energy focusing on character building, building integrity, high frequency, high levels of thinking, it's
mhm.
it's been a worthy investment. But it just starts with because I'm a consumer too, and I
Mm,
know how I like to be treated.
that is so good. I've seen in my 3.5, 4 years of doing podcasts, and I come from the dyslexic world, and so I kind of frame things and put patterns together. And I see like the average person in America is watching 4 hours of TV and they're scrolling like 2.5 hours of TikTok videos or whatever social media, and they're consuming other people's life. How
Hmm.
do you challenge yourself and how do you stay creative? Because it's almost like it pulls you to the consumption where we have to pull back to that creating and what you said earlier about, how you challenge with personal goals. How does Brandy handle that kind of, I guess, that walk? Like, what do you do to challenge yourself and stay creative?
Creativity is just a natural gift for me. I have to say, I love colors, music. I love art. I love dance. I love everything there is to do with creativity. That's just my jam, right?
Mhm.
But outside of that, what I match my creativity with is just the desire to be around a utopia, like of just goodwill, good people. I'm still a believer that the world can be a better place,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
if I've got to create it in small pockets.
Mhm.
And then what I do is I take that desire. I've always been like that. I've always loved love and joy.
Mhm.
But then but I'm also a very ambitious person. I'm also one that chases dreams. And so I'm like, how can I marry the two? How can I have this, kind of peace, vibe, but also a person? How can I do that? And the way I've chosen to do that is draw in the community and create experiences.
Mhm.
Create experiences for people. Even if it's little, doesn't have to be a big production all the time. Sometimes it's just a high five. How you doing? You good? Or
Mhm.
bringing the kids some snacks to help mom out because they seemed a bit anxious. Or if somebody doesn't like their car wash, like send them back through. We're talking soap and bubbles. There's no need to be upset about soap and bubbles, right? And at my restaurants, you don't like the way it looks, let's remake it. No big deal, or how can I support the schools, or how can I support, this lady, an elderly person who is on a tight budget and but needs her car washed because she likes to look good on her way to church on Sunday morning. How can I make a difference and bring just a little light to people? And so marrying business with activism, with community building, is it's been the joy of my life to be in a position to make money and support my family, but also have a big international community around me of people that have like minds and like ambitions, and you can do both. You don't have to be a lousy business person to make
Yes.
money. You don't have to be a selfish business person to make money. You don't have to, and that's why I try to tell the young kids, like, you don't have to close yourself off. It's mine, a very scarcity mentality. You don't have to have that. You can actually have, there's trillions of dollars that we transact every day. There's
Yes.
enough for all of us to eat well,
Mm.
truly. And with the internet, it's even more than what we could imagine, right? But really, what kind of legacy are you leaving behind? What are you learning every day? You know, you can't take these things with you to the next realm, but
Mm-hmm.
what I believe you do take with you
Mm-hmm.
is peace, joy, love, that you get to carry with you, that goes with you. But all these other accolades, you were the fastest person in your class, those are all great, but they don't go with you, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so, what you should try to do, even in your business, is cultivate those natural gifts, joy, love, just listening to people, understanding that their problem is your problem. You know, it just takes me 2 seconds to solve a problem for most customers because I'm in charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can make the decision. And so that's kind of where I try to get both blended. And it's been great.
What do you think? I love that. What do you think, like in your journey, who stepped in at a time that you needed them to mentor you, coach you, provide some insights that you found to be very beneficial? Was it growing up, or just give our viewers an idea of how do you get to this kind of mindset and who influenced you?
Yeah, so I have amazing parents, you know, from the beginning. They weren't entrepreneurs, but they were professionals, you know, and in ways they were strict in areas, probably a little scared in some areas that I'm not scared in, you know, because generations will do that. But very, you know, they were encouraging, like, just go do it, you know. And so, and even in some of their discouragement, I kind of got motivation too. Like, I don't think you should do that, Brandy. And I'm like, but that's what I want to do, you know? So I think even that tug of war helped out. And as I became an adult, you know, I traveled for like 4.5 years out of college with a job,
Mm-hmm.
doing marketing all over the nation. And that taught me a lot about being out in the world and understanding, you know, there's different types of people, different cities, different small towns. Like, there, the way in which we look at the world through our lens, you know, there's so many lenses and so many ways to operate. And then as I became, you know, a more mature adult, um, the jobs that I chose were mission-based jobs. They were always connected to how could I make a difference, which
Mm-hmm.
also shaped this this ideal that I could marry success and community. And so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of stayed with that for a while in the for the companies that I work for. But one of the biggest influences for me as an adult, as I matured as a business owner, was actually my spouse. So my spouse, he's pretty awesome, you know, very successful, very smart, intellectual, that taught me how to built confidence in my business savvy and
Mm-hmm.
and encouraged me to walk in any room with my back straight, and because he's like, you're smart enough, you know what you're talking about, and even if you don't, I got you, you know, we're not going to let anybody dim our light. And he taught me how to understand business not just as something to do or something to claim, but to actually cash flow and to actually, you know, make it into a profitable investment. And he taught me a lot about how to navigate adversity and navigating adversity, overcoming objection, things like that. I had
Mm-hmm.
learned from him because he was so good at that. So I would
Mm-hmm.
encourage your viewers, anything you're not good at, and you've heard many successful people say this, lean
Mm-hmm.
on the people who are good at that thing and
Yeah.
learn as quickly as possible. Because I was just mentoring a group of students a couple weeks ago, and I told them, you know, you're out of time. I know that sounds harsh, but you're really out of time. You know, this generation, in my opinion, doesn't have the luxury of 10 extra years to figure it out.
Yeah.
With technology, the advancement of technology and how fast things are going, we're
Yes.
we're just moving at the speed of light here. And
Yep.
so you really need to have it figured out. And if you're an adult, I'm in my 40s, and you're still struggling and you're still undecided, time is up. It's time for you to act. Sometimes there's no perfect timing to start a business. There's no perfect situation or financials that's just going to fall in place in most cases. You have to just trust yourself, and your belief in self must match your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be really, really good at basketball, but lack belief in your ability to play. So you'll never really meet your full potential in that area if you don't start to believe more in your ability. So they have to marry each other. And so for me, I'm at a very high point where my abilities match my beliefs, and now I'm like, let's go to the moon and beyond. I'm fearless. I'm ready to walk in any room. I'm ready to tell people my story and not
Mm-hmm.
copy someone else's story. Basically saying this is the road to success. Nope. My road to success is unique to me. This is what God has for me. But I encourage everyone to get started. Every
Yeah.
customer that I talk to that has an aspiration, I'll take a few minutes to sit and listen to whatever they want to do. And then I
Mm-hmm.
tell them, listen, not only do I want you to get started today, follow up with me, and then share with me on how I can support you. How
Mm.
can we support you? What we also do at Glaze is we're an ecosystem. So sometimes you'll come get a car wash and we'll be highlighting a small business in the area that's promoting a product that we'll support so that you can experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that ecosystem helps that small business introduce products to our population. That population then learns more about that small business in hopes that they can support that small business, because we all are obligated to go back and help each other along the way. But I always encourage anyone who has a seed in them, put that seed in the ground. Quit holding it in your hand. Put it in the ground and just water it every day and believe and have faith that it's going to sprout at some point. It may
Mm-hmm.
take a while, but it'll sprout.
Yeah, it's beautiful. How does, the start of a day is so critical. A lot of times we find people will jump on their phone and they'll start checking stuff and they'll email, social, all that. And it does
Mhm.
create a mindset that won't serve you later in the day. How do you create the first part of your day to make sure you have the best day possible?
Gosh, I slow down. Somebody like myself who manages multiple businesses and little kids. I have two young ones. Um,
Hmm.
Aging parents, siblings, family, just like everybody else. I'm juggling a lot. But the first thing I do is try to slow down my mind first thing in the morning, which is opening up with gratitude. Sometimes it's just thank you. Thank you, God. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
made it. I made it through the night. And then, I try to take care of my body, stretching, breathing techniques, working out if that's what moves me that morning. I take quality time with my children, slow it down. I know everybody's got to get up and we've got things to do, but making sure I take just a little moment with them, to hug them, to look at them, to make sure that we're not just rushing out the door,
Mm-hmm.
um, to properly greet my spouse, to when I get in the car, not to be anxious to start jumping on calls. Sometimes I just listen to sound bowls, something soothing to my spirit to just ease into the day. And then there's praise and worship for me, there's prayer for me. and then it's off to the races. Now after that, once I open that portal up, it's on. So, and it doesn't stop until I do the same on the other end of the day. Just slow it down. When you're in the shower, when you're taking a bath, really you have to slow down the mental, because
Yes.
otherwise you could be laying down in your bed and your mind is still racing a mile a minute. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, but just slowing down is my biggest thing.
Hmm. I've found like creative people that just talk like you just shared with our community. We sometimes have a hard time turning it off at night because
Hmm.
we're creative, we're moving, we're making a difference, we're pouring into the
Hmm.
community, our business. How does Brandy slow down enough to get quality sleep and get recharged for the next day?
Yeah, I have to, it has to be an intentional move. Like I have to tell myself sometimes, and I encourage people, tell yourself, shut up, like just stop. And it's kind of aggressive, but sometimes I have to say, hey girl, enough,
Mhm.
enough. Put that down, and the self-talk does help me remember, like, yeah, you're right. Just, sometimes I'm at the gym working on my phone. What was the point of going to that dinner or going to that workout session or going to on that walk on the belt line with a friend if you're just going to be on your phone? You
Mhm.
could have just stayed where you were, so I have to tell myself stop. And
Mhm.
the biggest thing, what's hardest for me, Pete, is actually resting. I used to make myself feel very guilty for resting. Like just
Mhm.
resting, doing nothing sometimes is hard for me. So I have to have tough talks with myself. That's the only way I'll stop. Because otherwise, I'm like, I might say, okay, I have a day off. My businesses are open 7 days a week. So there's always something to do, and throughout, even in the middle of the night, an alarm could go off in one of the buildings or whatnot, and I'm just on call 24/7. So I literally have to force myself to rest, do nothing.
Mhm.
Don't let your mind race into one task after the other. And I do feel better. I feel more productive. I feel happier. You're less stressed when you're not carrying one task into the other. So for a quick example, you and
Mhm.
I are here, right? And we're having a great conversation. Yet, if my mind is thinking about 20 other things I have to do today, will the engagement be as effective, as impactful for us? Because I know we have other people watching, but this is a conversation between you and I, right? I want to be present to what you're saying, what you're asking, being present to what you are how you're responding, and connecting with you. So what I told myself is, Brandy, wherever your feet are planted, that's where your focus should be in that moment. And as your feet go to the next thing and to the next thing, then you can follow that, follow the thoughts. But if you're not going to be focused wherever your toes are pointing, now, right now, they're pointing towards you, Pete. And I have
Mhm.
to think of and be present to what we're engaging with. And that was hard for a long time. And I'm not going to say I've mastered it, but it has been helpful.
Hmm. When you look at like setting boundaries and, what you said, take care of yourself, how do
Mhm.
you like wanting to serve? What boundaries have you been able to set up in your journey that have honored your, journey, honored your growth and the success that you're having that you could share with our community?
I met a gentleman by the name of Kit Cummings
Mhm.
a couple of weeks ago, and he has a program that he's offering to students in schools, in the local county.
Mhm.
And this program is really centered around protecting your dreams,
Mhm.
right? And I love his curriculum because you do have to protect your dreams. And I
Mhm.
thought about what that means for me as I'm almost 42 years old, what that means for me at this stage, because most of his participants are a lot younger, teenagers, right? And what I've learned in business and in just in my personal life, that you have to get rid of dream killers. Your dreams could be, I want to lose weight, right? But you're going to environments that encourage bad eating. That's a dream killer. Why go to those environments if you know you struggle with that?
Mm-hmm.
And if staying within that same example, you're trying to lose weight, but you're hanging around people that encourage you to, oh, just go. It's just one little thing. Just have it. You know, unfortunately, those people would be considered dream killers,
Mm-hmm.
right? For what you're trying to accomplish in your life at that moment. That doesn't mean they're horrible people. You need to throw them away, but you might need to create real boundaries and say, you know what, I'm not going to call that person because I know they like to eat chicken wings and I'm on a diet. Or I'm not even going to accept an invitation to go here or there because I'm on a diet and I know I like to eat and drink when I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to be intentional about who you have around you, what activities you're engaging in, what are you watching on social media, what are you watching, um, you know, on TV, what's your music like? All of that does influence how you see the world, and how you see the world matters because it determines how much effort you put in. If you think the world's going to pot and life's not worth living, you're probably not going to put in a whole lot of effort with many things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an optimist and you're like, I see the world as this big adventure, those people probably operate in big adventure activities, to protect that dream. So for me, at this stage of my life, I tell people, even the ones that work with me at the car wash, hey, if you're not on board with this mission to be great, we are chasing greatness here, people. We
Mm-hmm.
are great. I treat everyone like kings and queens. If you're not going to hold your crown up and you're not going to operate as a king or a queen, and you're not going to wear this logo with pride, self pride, not only for just Glaze, but you yourself. When those people write those reviews, they mention your name.
Mm-hmm.
They'll mention Pete by name. So I tell my staff, they're talking about you. That credibility follows you for the rest of your life. That's yours. That
Yeah.
data belongs to you. That's not about Glaze. They're saying your name in particular. So this is building your character. This is your dream. You're sharing with me, but this is your dream. This is shaping who you're going to be in the world. Every job I've worked at in my life, I did that. I treated it as if it were my company until I had my own company. And then I was ready to run it the way I knew that I could run it. But limit the dream killers around you, limit the dream killing conversations,
Mm-hmm.
limit those because we're out of time, people. We don't have time to, allow those things to creep in. I don't care what age you are. It doesn't matter. If you have a dream still left in you, you can do it like right now. Just get up and get started. But limit the temptation to revert back to poor ways of thinking and hanging around environments that's going to lessen your chance of success.
Yeah, I love that. I see like the different patterns. Like when we think about, we take a shower to get clean, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't always take a mental shower, and
Oof.
you just said like, choosing people to be around that'll lift you up instead of pulling you down, reading good books, listening to good podcasts, finding mentors, doing things that'll help this get better.
Yes.
Because
Mm-hmm.
this was years ago. I had a friend of mine and went to school with him, and he was an engineer. And so he got out of school, and I always remember this statement. He goes, I've read so many books. I don't want to read another book.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like he was burnt out
Mm-hmm.
just his
Mm-hmm.
study. But if we
Mm-hmm.
don't get better and we don't seek out things that'll help this, we get stale, we get rotten, and we don't, just because we can't see this, we
Mm-hmm.
sometimes neglect it. So with AI coming in, you mentioned, I love what you said, we don't have time to waste because the
Mm-mm.
The world is moving faster and faster. And if you don't
Mhm.
move, you're going to be left behind. So, how are you using a disruptive technology like AI as a business owner?
Mhm.
What are you doing to prepare your team for this disruptive technology that's coming?
I only use AI to make the systems run better. So like the actual technology itself.
Hmm.
I'm still a believer of people to people interaction, right? I'm not there fully relying on AI, meaning in my restaurants, I don't have a bunch of kiosks yet doing all of the welcoming to the guests and ordering for the guests. I'm not there yet. I still believe that we can connect and make it happen because I understand how valuable those jobs are to people. So I'm
Yes.
not ready to let go yet, but I do know that the technology is advancing to where small businesses like mine will have to integrate more and more over the next, couple years to
Hmm.
keep pace with, organizing the business in a way that functions better, right? What I try to tell my kids though is, in a city like Atlanta, you have to compete to eat here. I mean, you can't play around. This is not a small town. I know it's the South and people have their opinions, but this is no small town. It is a very competitive atmosphere, but it's an exciting atmosphere. And
Yes.
what you do today in the next few minutes, how you operate your day is going to help you be in a better position to compete at a high level in conjunction with AI. You can work with AI to
Hmm.
be a high functioning professional. I train all my staff to be managers in training, whether they want to be a manager or not.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, you can't be anything less than that with AI. You have to think on high levels
Yes.
now. You can't go into an entry level position anymore, hardly, at these companies and corporations. And even in our corporation at Glaze, we're expecting high levels of thinking.
Hmm.
Yes, the car wash is an express tunnel, but it is the most dangerous place for one to be outside of their car. You know, I need people who can look at your car and assess where there may be opportunities for a damage claim, where there may be opportunities for problem, and they can problem solve. Even though they're scrubbing your car, they're thinking high level. They're looking at what are the potential dangers of this situation, this environment. So even at a job like a car wash, when you're at the kiosk and you're greeting customers and you're thinking about your sales pitch, it's important that we actually train to have a certain kind of style of
Hmm.
sales, right? And so mastering that is important so that the company grows and that we cash flow. So it's not just standing there saying, "Hey, do you want a car wash?" It's more than that. And I tell them, develop that skill. Because if you
Hmm.
can become a great salesperson, you can work anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Everybody wants that,
So true.
and so in working with technology, you still have to master things. Like you have to master whatever it is you're doing, flipping burgers, dropping fries, washing cars. Become a master, understand what you're doing, and learn every aspect of that job, not just your task for the day. Try to
Hmm.
figure out, because my mother has a unique story. She is a computer analyst back in the
Hmm.
80s and 90s, and she worked for a church when she first started in the industry. She worked for a church, and
Hmm.
she was helping them organize, some of the back office stuff, and they were trying to put it all on the computer at that point. And she learned how to use systems that were new at the time to help organize the church's information.
Hmm.
And because of that, learning how to do that, it bridged her opportunity into becoming an analyst. She wasn't an analyst before that. She had a
Hmm.
natural curiosity on how can I creatively organize these files. And
Hmm.
then there's this new system that's come into the market. Maybe we can apply that to what you guys are trying to do. And then it started a whole 30-year career for her. But
Wow.
imagine if she had worked at the church and
Yeah.
just kept a very entry level view of it, like, I don't know, I'm just putting the paper here into this file cabinet. I'm just doing that. That level of thinking would have kept her at entry level.
Yep.
And she might have missed the window to do anything else. So I always encourage my staff. I don't care if you're serving tables. When I was a waitress, I still try to figure out how could I get the most tip? Like, what can I do?
Yeah.
All right, and what order should I do the drinks? And then who at the table looks like they would tip the most? Like I'm thinking and analyzing how to really make this make sense, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So you don't have to have a lot of money or a business concept to opt to start thinking like a business owner and thinking
Yeah.
like a smart business person. Because whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not, even if you're working for a corporation, you have to think like a
Yes.
business owner because it's your money, it's your time, it's your talent. Are
Mhm.
you getting good returns on your investment at these corporations? Are you getting what you need in order to cash flow your life? So you should still have a high level of thinking no matter what you decide to do, even if you want to be a stay-at-home mom or dad. It still requires organization. It requires, am I getting the best return on my time and energy? Are the kids getting what they need? All of these are operations, all
Mm.
of them. And if you want to be successful at them, you got to think big. And technology is going to help us, but we can't rely solely on technology, in my opinion, because then where
Yeah.
will we be? So then
No,
we
I
become the dogs and cats to technology. We're just like a pet sitting there while technology's running the show.
absolutely there. I always my partner has an AI agency, and this was about 3.5 years ago. He was saying like, Pete, how are you using AI in your business? And I go, I don't have time for that stuff.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then I put my first course together, and being dyslexic, words are not my thing. But I
Mhm.
asked it a bunch of questions, and it produced a framework. And then I kept
Mhm.
asking more questions, and that would have taken me 6 months to a year before that. And the kind of the light bulb went off. I went, holy
Mhm.
mackerel. No,
Yes. Yeah.
did a drag for me to put that kind of framework together. I can get assistance in
Mhm.
something I'm not really that good at, but I know what I want. And I haven't looked back. But I do agree what you
Mhm.
say. Human intelligence, HI, with
Yes.
AI makes the difference because our critical thinking is going to be even more important as we get
Mhm.
into this world that you're not going to even know the difference between AI and HI sometimes. So you got to be really aware of your environment. If I
Mhm.
handed you a magic wand and I
Mhm.
said, here, Brandy, you can 10x your success with one wish, what would you wish that would give you that 10x success in life that you could share with us?
Mm. That's a great question, by the way. Oh my gosh. You know me, it's just hard to pick one, but where I am in my life today, I would answer that by saying if I could wave that wand, it would be a moment of real, true freedom for all and peace.
Mm,
Humanity has been running a race for so long that's just turbulent, and it would
yes,
be nice to just stop, give everyone freedom. And freedom is a lot of things to
yes.
different people, right? And then we have a moment of real peace where you're just peaceful. You're not
Mm,
stressed. You're not worried. You're not racing around, to get here, get there, everywhere. You're really just at peace. And so, that's where my soul is, Peter. I'm not gonna lie. It's not anything, you
yeah.
know, materialistic or anything. It's really just what would that feel like for
Yes.
everyone to be free, free of worry, of starvation, free of, bondage, free of, I don't know, even your ego. how the
Hmm.
ego can wear you down, and your pride or whatnot. You're just free of all that. And then we just have a moment of peace together. That would be pretty awesome.
That's beautiful. I love it. I want to be respectful of your time.
Of
So tell
course.
our viewers, how can they get a hold of you? Then I have one more
Mm.
question for you.
Sure. Well, first of all, come see me at Glaze Car Wash. It's 1480 George Busby Parkway in Kennesaw, Georgia. We're open 7 days a week, 7:30 to 7:30. So you can't miss us. We're the bright neon colored roof. We've got art, we've got music, we've got 5-star reviews, which means we've got 5-star service. We are a community-based small business, family owned and operated. And we're so grateful to be in this beautiful community. I have met so many wonderful people like Pete who have just been so encouraging, so supportive. And we just can't wait to serve you. We've got a lot of great events coming up this summer. Not just a car wash, it's an experience. So come by and see us. You can reach out to me directly with any questions at Brandy, Brandie, Glaze,
Mhm.
GLAZE, email at gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story. And Pete, thank you for having me. This has been an amazing way to start the day. So,
Well, my pleasure, and I steal that from my friends at Chick-fil-A, but
yeah.
I want to put you kind of on the public spotlight
Sure,
and just
sure.
say, I'd love to have you back. I have about 50
Let's
other questions
go.
I want to ask you.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't dominate Brandy's time. She has a
Let's
team
go.
to get to and to make that impact in the community. I can't wait for the spring to come because
Yeah.
so much happens at Glaze. I mean, it was like crazy to see that, almost like the blossoming of a business, and we're knocking on the door of springtime. So I can't wait because I go by your place every day. And
Oh,
so
thank
my,
you.
yes, my final question is, so what would
Mm.
be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
Yes, great question. Please, if you can hear, first of all, everyone right now, I'm pleading that you connect with the great divine. Please
Mm,
tap in. Whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. Tap into that. Get connected because we have to get back to love. We've got to get back to joy and peace. We've got to stay focused. Don't be afraid of what's going on around us. We have to work together. We got to stay in the community together. And that's every walk of life. No matter what your views are, what your race is, what your gender is, we do have to get back to the community. The other thing I would tell you is that just get up and get started. Get
mm,
going. Don't wait, like
yeah,
today, like now, like after this podcast, get up and go do your research. There's no perfect time, there's no amount of money. Some people think I got to have this amount of money in order to do it. Yeah,
mhm,
maybe, but we have countless stories of successful people who had nothing but a
yes,
belief in themselves. They had
yes,
the belief. I mean, a few years ago, the car wash was just an idea.
hmm,
This was just an idea like, oh, maybe we should do it. And then we had to go find it. And then we had to go create it. And then we had to go operate it. And no matter what adversity comes up, my belief in abilities, my husband's belief in his abilities, my children's belief in their abilities is what we lean on to get through. We're going to make it. And we're
yes,
going to bring people with us. We're going to bring the employees with us, and they're going to
yes,
grow with us and mature with us and hopefully grow in the company and run the company for goodness sakes. That would be amazing. And then I'll tell you, adversity comes to us all. None
mm,
of us are immune to hardships. I don't care what it looks like on the outside, everybody gets their share. So it's not just happening to you, it's happening to everybody.
yes,
And you know what? You're going to be okay. Storms don't last all along, they're over in a few hours, you know? And so what you can do is prepare, understand that as an operator, I know I'm going to have things come up. I do have things come up. But I look at it as this too shall pass. If it happens to, why not me? That's my mentality too. Well, why not me? Yeah, of course it's going to happen. But I believe that we'll get through it because I have faith. I have faith in the great divine. I have faith in myself. I have faith in
Mhm.
my family, my friends, my community. I have faith in Pete, right? And lastly, do what you said you're going to do.
Yes.
That's my biggest pet peeve.
Yes.
Just do what you said you were going to do. If you sign up for something, do that thing. That's a great first step. Just commit to that thing, whatever it is you said you were going to do. And here's the thing, hold yourself accountable.
Yes.
Hold yourself accountable for doing or not doing that thing. Not everybody else. You said you were going to do that. I always tell my staff, I don't fire people. You fired yourself. What do
Hmm.
you mean? Well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. You
Hmm.
told me you were going to do A, B, C, D. And we're looking at your stats and you haven't done A, B, C, D. So therefore, you reneged on your agreement. You broke your agreement with me.
Yes.
So I didn't do this to you. You did this to you. And the
Hmm.
sooner we can use accountability to our advantage instead of running away from it,
Yes.
accountability is the gateway to freedom.
Yes.
As
Totally.
soon as you can hold yourself accountable, you're free. Real quick story. My daughter, my lovely daughter, she's 9 years old. She she told me, Mommy, I dropped the no, she said, Mommy, the glass fell out of the cupboard. And I was like, oh my goodness, are you okay first? All right. Then I was like, okay, how did that happen? She's like, it just fell. And I said, well, wait a minute now. It just fell. Science would argue that it just can't fall on its own, sweetheart. It's gonna need some kind of force or something. Let's go back now. She's like, I said, so tell me what happened. Like, okay, I saw this glass behind these two glasses, and I reached behind the glass to pull this one up, and then this one fell. I said, well, hold on, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. So you reached back here to pull this glass forward with these two in the way, and then this one fell. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. First, there's two obstacles in front of you that are obvious. These two glasses that are in front of your goal, these are obvious. These are gifts. These are obvious obstacles. So
Mm.
guess what you get to do? You get to do something about the easy ones. The easy one, that's in your face. You're going to move this glass. You're going to move that glass out of your, that's in your, within your control. Oh, consider that a gift. When life hands you those obvious ones, please take the freebies. Those are like free throws, right? Then, okay, then you get those out of the way. And you still have your eyes on your goal. You still want that glass. There's nothing wrong with wanting that glass. She didn't do anything wrong there. So now you go to your goal, you get the glass, you pull it out, everything's safe. There's no damage. It's less chances of damage now because you've removed the obstacles, you went after your goal, and you achieved your goal. Bravo. But in this case, what you're doing is you're saying, it fell. Mommy can't help you with it fell. Mommy can only help you with I dropped it. Because as soon as you can understand that you caused the damage, you're less likely to repeat it again.
Mm.
She hasn't dropped a glass since, guys. Thank God. Right? But the accountability is what teaches you.
Yes.
Stop running from that part. It's okay. You're going to be okay. You made a mistake. You learned a lesson. So now she hasn't dropped a glass. She may never drop another glass. Certainly not in that manner. Because she realized, like, you know what? Yeah, next time I'm going to move the glass. I'm going to move that glass. That makes sense. But I try to encourage people. The
Hmm.
sooner you can get to that part, oh my
Yes.
gosh, it sets you free. You're
So that.
free and you're less likely to make bad choices in
Hmm.
business. Take the easy obstacles. Take those freebies. You kind of sense that employee's not that great. You know it. You know
Yes.
it. You have a feeling. Don't override that feeling. Just sit them down and say, you know what? Time is up. And naturally, this is good for both of us because maybe you've lost your love for what you're doing here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a reprimand, it's
Yeah.
me saying with love, go ahead and try something else.
Yes.
Or you shouldn't pay so much for that marketing plan you have because you know that the return may not be that great this year, but you do it anyway. Some of those things we generate our own problems just
Mm.
because we don't want to be wrong or we don't want to admit that I'm not that great at this. I'm just going with it. And so I would just say that and try to encourage your listeners to just get up, get going, take responsibility for the things that you know you need to correct and have fun. Go love people while you do it. We need
Yes.
it. We
Uh,
need it. So,
Brandy, thanks for that teachable moment, because those little things, boy,
mhm.
they make such a difference in our journey. And I want to say excitement, high expectations, knowing our conversations and reading the
Mhm.
questions. You blew that out of the water. I mean, it was
Aw,
so thank you so much
mhm.
for
Of
sharing with
course.
our community your journey. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning. So thank you so much, Brandy, for being a guest.
God bless you, man. God bless everybody. And thank